Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light.
This is a big deal for us. It really is. Someone said, "Did you ever imagine that you would do this?" The thought never crossed my. Who would expect to ever do this? So for us, honestly, we're tremendously honored. So I grew up in East Chicago. Specifically, I grew up on the harbor side. If you grew up in East Chicago, you know the difference between the harbor side and the East Chicago side. So I'm a harbor guy. So I went to Lincoln School, Ridley School, East Chicago, Washington High School, and then I graduated from Bishop Noll. And the reason I transferred from Washington to Noll was because when I was a sophomore at Washington, a friend of mine took me to Noll and we saw one of the musicals, and I thought, you know what, I want to be a part of that. But growing up in the harbor, you know, I can't imagine a better education for somebody who's a journalist and who encounters the world and the diversity that the world gives us. Having grown up in Indiana Harbor was the absolute best preparation I could have had for journalism, because right in that, within a few blocks of me, people from all over, from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, and so forth. So I consider myself to have had a privileged upbringing because I grew up at Deodore and 135th Street.
I feel very strongly about the national anthem being pretty straightforward. I think when you try and do real fancy runs and stuff, unless you're Whitney Houston, don't try and pull it off.
Kids, don't try this at home. It's an octave and a half, so you have to find the right key to start in. And so we played around with that, and Dan found exactly the key that would work for both of us at the low end and at the high point.
It's a huge honor because we've been coming to Sox games since pretty much since I can remember, when I was 5 years old. So this day, at least for me, is like 29 years in the making.
We first started coming to Comiskey Park, and so we would catch tickets as we could. So we've sat in different parks. We've sat really high. We've sat really low.
But I remember my first Sox game vividly. We were sitting on the third base line. I was with my dad and my grandfather, and Julio Cruz hit a grand slam on my first Sox game.
Oh God!
So I feel like this is coming full circle, so to speak.
And that's the old ballpark with the smoke and everything.
Oh yeah. And I was freaked out about the. About the fireworks that went up.
Yeah.
And from the rest of the game, I was worried that the Sox were going to hit another home run because I didn't want to hear the fireworks again.
Can I show you something? I've been singing the national anthem forever. What did I do? I printed up the lyrics just to make sure I was going to get it right, because look, it's an honor. We respect the national anthem so much, and the fact that the Sox have entrusted us with this small part of their opening day ceremonies is a huge honor for us, and so we want to do it right.
At the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming.
Here's what I told Dan and Anthony: you don't have to hit a home run. We just have to make contact with the ball. If we can just get a solid single or a solid double in singing the national anthem, we are fine. We will take it.
Would you like to have seen, if somebody had some old grainy black and white film of your dad appearing in musicals at Noll, would you have given anything to hear this guy as a teenager sing and then try to act?
Yeah, sometimes I regret that YouTube didn't exist when my dad was in high school, because I think a lot of those videos would be viral by now.
They sure would. Dad is a really talented performer and singer and actor. A lot of people, when they watch him on Chicago Tonight, don't know how talented he is as a musician, and that was a huge influence to us growing up. I mean, he nurtured our music just as much as anything else in school growing up.